Hello board game brothers and sisters, I'm Adam Singer and welcome to another episode where I'll be letting you know of Kickstarters launching this week. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. We do this every week, so if you want to stay up to date with upcoming campaigns, make sure to subscribe, and if you want to see further into the future, we also have an awesome Discord that you can find in the description below that updates with new games as soon as I find them. And also check out Board Game Co. and subscribe to his channel because he puts out a video going over the hot campaigns launching over the next 30 days. He usually puts this out near the end of the month, so expect this up really soon. Not a whole lot of games this week, but there are some really good ones that you don't want to miss, so let's check out the Kickstarters. And the first one we have is launching on June 28th, and it's called Game of the Year, and this plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 30 to 60 minutes to play. And this game uses drafting, dice rolling, and a simulated economy in order to allow players to take on roles of video game publishers, and this game can be played solo, competitively, or cooperatively, and players will be trying to become the most successful company. Players will be creating a video game title over 3 phases. First, there's the pitch phase, where players will be combining a genre card with themes and other features drafted from a shared pool. And then in the development phase, players will choose from pools of DICE employees to generate different resources used to complete a title. And then in the release phase, the title will be compared with a rival in order to determine how successful your game will be. Players will be gaining money to pay employees, tech tokens to remove bugs from their game, reward cards to gain special abilities, and hype, which must be maintained to keep your company in business. Most of the next few games will be launching on June 29th, and the first one we have is called Hollywood Racers, and this plays 2 to 6 players and takes about 30 to 60 minutes to play. This game had just actually launched last week, but they pulled it down to make a few small tweaks, and it's relaunching again this week. I've already covered this, so if you want to check out that video for more details, I'll leave a link right up here. But this is essentially a race game where players will be racing these different pop culture vehicles through different movie sets in order to win the game. Also on June 29th is Battle Peak, and this plays 2 to 4 players and takes about 20 to 40 minutes to play. And in Battle Peak, players take on the role of wizards fighting for their lives on top of the highest mountain. Very metal. Players cast spells by combining the 4 elements to perform different actions like setting their opponents on fire, throwing them off the mountain, and sending them to their eternal doom. Even more metal. Players start on opposite ends of the board, and each turn players draw a card and then have 2 actions to perform. Focus lets you draw additional cards, Move lets you move 1 space, and Cast lets you use powerful cards from your hand. Each spell card has a basic spell and an advanced spell and requires certain elements to be spent in order to activate them. In this game, cards behave both as spells and elements, so you'll have to pick which ones you want to sacrifice in order to activate the others. Players can use these spells to summon different elements to the board, all with different effects to change the battlefield to your will. But spells can also be used to perform different special abilities as well. Used spell cards get discarded, but they're not totally useless because you'll be keeping them sorted by type in something known as your dust pile. Once you have 4 cards in your dust pile, you can perform an associated special action all for free. I really like the quirky artwork for this game, and the meeple design looks pretty awesome too. It might be slightly controversial, but I much prefer this approach rather than miniatures, and I'm being very tempted by games this week. And if you also want to be tempted, you can check out the link in the description below. Also on the 29th, we have Escape from the Asylum Deluxe Edition, and this plays 1 to 6 players and takes about 60 minutes to play. And Escape from Asylum is a cooperative escape room experience. The game is divided into 2 parts, and each part is a collection of 5 stories. Each story has players assume the role of characters trying to escape the North Oaks Asylum by solving puzzles and making life-altering decisions. Each character has their own backstory that players will discover throughout the game, and stories also intertwine, adding a fun aspect of discovering extra details and Easter eggs from one story to the next. Each story takes about an hour to play, so you're getting about 10 hours of gameplay here. And this game has already been released, so there's a ton of reviews on the web already if you need some help deciding if this is something that you'll enjoy. The deluxe edition here will be Kickstarter exclusive, so if this is something you're interested in, you can find out more in the description below. And next is Wild Assent Lavon Rising, and this is an expansion to the game Wild Ascent, which is a miniatures board game that offers solo, player versus player, and cooperative play modes. The game offers a gladiator arena style skirmish mode to battle against your friends, but the highlight of the game is the cooperative campaign mode. Players will control their own unique set of characters and will be working together to fight various boss battles or groups of monsters to gain resources to level up their characters and level up their encampment. Each scenario offers a hunt and an encampment phase. During the hunt, players will take turns activating their characters. A character's speed dictates how far they can move, while their damage is dictated by your character's attack and your dice roll. After a player's turn, a card is drawn which will activate the monsters, and just like your characters, monsters all have different abilities and strengths as well. Instead of killing the monsters, players can also choose to capture them and bring them back to their camp for some different rewards. So you'll be altering your strategy depending on what you need. And this one's going to be our Discord pick of the week. And if you want to take part in voting for these different picks, check out our Discord in the description below. And this one's also going to be my pick of the week. And although the original campaign took longer than expected to deliver, what they delivered was very well put together, both in terms of component quality as well as gameplay. That being said, I haven't seen or played this game myself. I'm basically reiterating comments that I've heard from other friends and reviewers that I trust, so take this with a grain of salt. And one thing I really do like is the size of the game. The way that they have this campaign set up, it looks like a lot of content, but all the content from the original game is not an overwhelming, ridiculous amount that we sometimes see with other campaigns. I believe the core box offers about 20 hours worth of campaign that can be replayed with alternate endings. So if you want a campaign game that you can realistically complete and potentially even play again with different friends, this seems like a great option for you. And the wait for this game won't be nearly as long as the original campaign because the core game and the original expansion are already designed, and those can be sent out earlier, and I would bet that the fulfillment of the new expansion will go much smoother now that they have some experience and relationships built for manufacturing and fulfillment. And although this game's been getting glowing reviews, it's not without its faults. And one thing I really love to see, especially when a game is reprinted, is iterative improvements based on player feedback. And this is really what set this one apart for me when selecting my pick of the week. The rulebook is actually getting a full redesign for clarity with minor tweaks to gameplay. An index is getting added and certain concepts are going to be highlighted and expanded on. They're also correcting any errors that they made in the first version, and they're also making a few difficulty adjustments as well. These are the types of things that publishers and designers do who actually care about their game and care about delivering the best experience possible. It would have been much easier for them to just leave the original game untouched and just add more content, so I really want to commend them for going the extra mile here and doing this extra work. And the fact that they're listening to their audience and taking feedback makes me believe that this expansion will be a really fun one. Instead of just adding a bunch of new content blindly, they're listening to their backers and listening to what they liked and what they didn't like with the core game. And I can't speak for certain how the expansion actually plays, but that's just a recipe for good design. And the new expansion will add a decision-based narrative as well as a host of new playable characters and creatures to be used in the original game modes. And don't forget to subscribe to the campaign so that you get a free mini with your pledge. And also, if you back within the first 72 hours, you'll get an early bird for an additional monster along with the cards that go along with it. This one will most certainly be getting a back by me, but you can decide for yourself in the description below. For anyone that's had the opportunity to play this game, feel free to leave a comment. I'm really interested to know what you think of it, and it'd be really helpful if you compared it to some other campaign games. I hope this content's been useful so far, but as a nice added bonus, you can also check out kickstartergames.com and use the coupon code SHELFCLUTTER to get a whopping 15% off your entire cart. Kickstartergames.com has a wide selection of games, and a small portion of any sales made here will come back and help this channel. And this is one of the reasons I'm able to produce all this content without taking any payment from any publishers. So if there's a game that you've been planning to buy, definitely check out kickstartergames.com and save yourself that 15%. And you're also doing a bit of good for this channel as well. And if you don't want to spend any money, but you still want to help out the channel, just hit that like and subscribe and help us reach that 4,000 subscriber milestone that we're getting really close to. It does make a difference, and it helps a lot with the YouTube algorithms. And also on June 29th is another game that I was really close to picking for my pick of the week, and this is Villagers Shifting Seasons. And this is a modular expansion set for the well-rated game Villagers. And that was a game where players were competing to build the most attractive village to attract different villagers with different skill sets to generate the most income and wealth to win the game. The game is played over several rounds broken into two phases. The first phase is the drafting phase, where players will take turns drafting villager cards from a shared market. And there are several types of villagers, and players can choose to take a face-up villager card of any type, or instead they can draw blindly from any of these face-down decks. The decks on the top row will get depleted left to right as they're used to repopulate the villagers on the lower row. Certain decks have a market card behind them, which triggers a scoring phase. But during this first drafting round, players can continue to draw cards until they've hit their individual drafting limit, which they can increase throughout the game by gaining cards with a certain icon. The second phase is the build phase, where players can put cards they've collected into play. Just like in the first phase, players will have their own limit for the number of cards that they can play, and this can also be increased throughout the game by collecting cards with a certain icon. And the goal of this phase is to create different production chains for your village. There are all sorts of villager cards in this game, and certain villagers can chain off others in order to refine basic materials into different products. Using your build action to place these cards on top of each other allows players to achieve this. Some villagers also require these different products in order to provide a service, and this is indicated with a little lock on the card. And in order to play these cards, in addition to adding them to the appropriate chain, gold is also paid to the villager card that can provide the product that they need. For example, this beekeeper needs a carpenter in order to create these little beehive storage units, which I'm going to call bee boxes. And in this example, if you have a carpenter in your village, you can pay that coin to your own carpenter. Otherwise, you can pay it to an opponent's village or to the bank. The game continues like this until it ends, but some cards also have some special abilities that you can use to help you along the way. And there are also a couple scoring phases at certain points throughout the game, as I mentioned earlier. The Shifting Seasons expansion adds more familiar content to the game, as well as some new concepts and mechanisms as well. It offers wider variety and more scoring opportunities, and increases the game length by about 1 round on average, giving players more time to create their perfect village. Additional rules are kept to a minimum, and everything does integrate with the base game and previous expansion, although you can choose to include or exclude any modules as you wish. And first there's the events module, where 4 cards are randomly drawn and placed during setup. These get triggered one at a time as each stack of cards are emptied from the shared market. These give all players bonus actions and additional scoring opportunities in between rounds, and it gets triggered only between the rounds that don't have a scoring phase. The next module is the team modules, which is a set of 5 cards featuring a builder team on one side and a harvest team on the other. By discarding 2 cards back to the shared market, players can recruit a team of their choice to help expand their village, but each village is only allowed 1 team. Next we have the 7 special villagers with powerful rule-bending abilities, and there's only 1 of each, creating more asymmetry for the players that game them. Also included is a brand new clay resource, which is a whole new suit of cards with clay as the base resource. This allows for new creations and longer games. And finally, there's the Monastery solo mode, which is a new way to play villagers with just 1 player. And Monastery is a simpler and more relaxed alternative to the intense Countess mode that's included in the base game. In case you're wondering, this campaign will be offering everything ever that you can own for this game, including everything from the previous campaign, deluxe coins, and a really nice playmat. And everything does fit into the core box. This looks like a really solid addition to an already really solid game. Be sure to check this one out, and I have links to the campaign in the description below. Also on the 29th is the Millennium War, and this plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 45 to 120 minutes to play. And this is a miniatures game with an epic backstory that proclaims that once in 1,000 years, the Millennium Gate emerges and releases powerful cosmic energies, mythical beasts, sacred weapons, and dangerous spells. During this time, 2 powerful forces emerge to continue a war that has waged for an eternity, fighting to claim the power for themselves. Millennium War offers both competitive and cooperative modes of play, and during the competitive mode, players go head-to-head, building their teams, buying items, preparing spells, and managing mana resources to perform actions and movement across the Millennium Arena. This mode offers 3 ways to win. You can either eliminate all your opponent's team, destroy all your opponent's ancient structures, or claim the Millennium Gate for yourself by hunting mythical beasts. Each team will play very differently, as each hero has their own set of spells and weapons. And then there's the cooperative mode, where players must work together to defeat the Millennium bosses as they journey through the Millennium world. Each boss presents its own unique attack strategy and its own environment that creates a very distinct experience for each battle. The game uses patented smart dials that attach to the base of each miniature to track different stats, and if you back in the first 48 hours, you'll receive the Rico Horsemen of the Apocalypse pack for free. If this looks interesting to you, check out the campaign in the description below. Next on June 29th is Velocity Vanguard, and this plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 45 to 180 minutes to play. And in this game, players are commanders of a vanguard of ships with the mission to discover what lies beyond the far reaches of space. Players choose their factions, crew, ships, and modules, and as you progress to story-driven missions, you'll encounter different asteroids, defense stations, powerful automated enemies, and many other opportunities and hindrances. Your ship will be well equipped with different modules, including weapons, defense systems, scanners, supports, and specialist crews. The game offers solo, cooperative, and competitive story-driven missions, as well as skirmish modes, and you can even build your own scenarios as well. Players control their ship's trajectory by manipulating a vector token, which is a mechanism designed based on the real fundamentals of physics. Within a round, each player will take turns activating ships by assigning crew members to different parts of the ship and moving their ship a number of hexes in a direction indicated by their vector token. Before, during, or after movement, players can trigger crew actions by spending energy and then exhausting that crew. So if you like space exploration games with a ton of customization, definitely check this one out. And then on June 30th, we have Little Nutters, the card game, and this is a game for 2 to 6 players and takes about 30 to 60 minutes to play. And in this game, the play area is made up of 24 small decks of cards known as patches, and the players are squirrels searching these for their buried nuts. On a turn, players can take the dig, excavate, or search actions. The dig action allows a player to draw a card from a chosen patch of cards. Depending on the type of card that you draw, you'll add it to your hand, or if it's a nut, it gets added to your nutsack. Or you may be faced with an event that will test your survival, like rabid kittens, zombie squirrels, and many other perils. To excavate, you can discard 2 cards from your hand and then take the top card of a patch. This has the same effect as digging, but you're protected from events and you can ignore them. To perform the search action, you discard 1 card from your hand and look at all the cards of a chosen patch. And this allows you to plan for your next turn. After all the players have had a turn, players enter a new phase where they can play 1 card from their hand to perform special abilities to gain a boost, harm other players, or steal nuts from other players. Be the first squirrel to find all your nuts in order to win the game, and the first 100 people to sign up on their website will receive a free early bird bonus card. And the last one I don't have an exact date for, but I was expecting it in June, and it's called 5 Gems, and this plays 2 to 4 players and takes about 30 minutes to play. And this is a game where players will be exchanging and purchasing different sets of gems. And players are going to be setting different exchange rates, modifying the overall market, and then trying to collect the gems of the most valuable type. And this game uses set collection, dice rolling, and trading. And that's it for this week, but don't leave yet because we got a few awesome giveaways to announce. And those of you that watch my videos know that if you subscribe to my Patreon, you get some bonus entries into these giveaways. And this was something I always thought I could improve upon, so I spent the last few weeks making a few tweaks to the way that I'm going to do this. And I think it's ready to go, so I'm going to start enacting this moving forward. And the 2 big changes are that I'm going to be changing the number of bonus entries that the higher pledge levels get, so that the amount of entries you get actually scales with your pledge, giving you a slightly better deal per entry for the higher pledge levels. The difference is very small because I don't want to create a pay-to-win scenario where the people who pay the most just keep winning. And this is also reinforced by the second change I made because each patron will get an additional 2 entries every month until they win a giveaway. The reason I made this change is because I want everyone to win eventually, so the longer you go without winning, the higher chance of winning you have. And this will help prevent those really swingy cases where the same person wins multiple times in a row, or where someone just keeps not winning due to the luck of the draw. These 2 changes will make things a lot more fun and a lot more fair, and I'm excited to see them in action and help get all your shelves cluttered. I did have to make a change to one of the pledge levels so that all the pledge levels scale appropriately, and that was only for the first pledge level, so I'm going to be changing that from $2 to $3. And $3 is actually the recommended amount that Patreon suggests. I've just always ignored that and put it at a lower price, and anyone who's already subscribed as a patron, your prices will not change. I haven't made this change yet because I'm always really busy and this was low on my priority list. But if you want to help support the channel, I really don't mind if you get in at $2 or $3, so feel free to hop in now while it's still at the $2 pledge level, and that will be maintained even after I change it to $3. Just keep in mind that Patreon is about supporting creators, and I do a lot of work tracking these games, reaching out to publishers, and maintaining the Discord, the Reddit posts, and these YouTube videos. And I do all the editing all myself, so it is quite a lot of work that I'm not charging publishers for. And many of you might wonder, how do I even do these giveaways every week? And the reason I'm able to do this is because it's pretty common for a publisher to pay or offer a free copy of their game to content creators in order to get coverage for their game. Since I don't take monetary payment or payment in the form of a copy of the game, I instead ask the publishers to donate a game for a giveaway so that I can give one of you a copy of the game rather than me keeping it for myself. And this is something I started doing long before I monetized my YouTube channel, long before I started the Patreon, and even before I had any sponsorship for my videos. And although I'm still a really small channel, it's been really awesome watching many of you return the generosity, whether it's just liking and watching these videos, subscribing to the channel, joining the Patreon, or engaging in the community on our Discord. It's been really awesome watching the channel grow, and I'm excited to see what's next. But now I'm just ranting here, so let's get to the giveaways. And the first giveaway we have is for First Ascent, and this is a game where players are rock climbers, each with their own set of skills and abilities, and players will be managing their resources and seeking the best route in order to climb the mountain in order to be recognized as the most skilled climber in their crew. Players will be gaining gear to help improve their efficiency as they climb the different mountains, and players will be trying to complete different shared and hidden objectives in order to gain different victory points. The game uses mechanisms like card drafting, events, map deformation, route building, and set collection. And this giveaway is going to be for the Climber Pledge, which comes with all unlocked stretch goals and a copy of the game. And to enter this giveaway, just leave a comment down below and let us know of a mountain that you'd love to see climbable in this game. For those of you that have watched my videos long enough, you'll know that I'm a bit of a Zelda fan, so I'd love to see Death Mountain as a climbable mountain in this game, and I can make a pit stop at Goron City and buy some pretty sweet heat-resistant gear. And I almost forgot, leave the hashtag Ascent in your comment. And now we're off the mountains and onto the roads with our next giveaway, which is the Great Race 2. And in this game, players will be racing their vehicles across the continent and using scouts, mechanics, and escorts in order to discover paths, repair their vehicles, and guarantee safety over hazardous terrain. This game is going to feel more like an expedition rather than a race, as players will be utilizing different resources and managing those resources in order to optimize their plan and take the lead. This is a standalone expansion that's going to add a bunch of new maps and content, but you can mix it with the original game as well. And the giveaway for this one is a pretty nice one, so thanks so much for the publisher for donating such a generous pledge. And this is going to be an all-in pledge for the Great Race 1. So this will include the Kickstarter edition from the previous campaign, as well as the expansion that went along with it. And we haven't had a giveaway over on the Discord in a couple weeks, so to enter this giveaway, just head over to the Discord, check out the giveaways channel, and click the little emoji underneath the comment to get entered, and this will automatically get drawn at the end of 7 days. And the last giveaway we have is for a pledge for BattleFish. And this is a game that plays 2 to 6 players as teams or individually and takes about 40 to 60 minutes to play. BattleFish is an epic capture the flag battle for ground control over the seas. Players will be building their army of fish-controlled battlebots to attack other players' bases while protecting their own. At the start of the game, players are going to build up their bases to defend their flag, and throughout the game they're going to be setting up different barricades to help with that. Players will also be trying to attack other players' bases in order to whittle down their fortifications and steal their flag. The last team or player standing wins the game. And to enter this giveaway, just leave a comment down below and let us know what your favorite fish or sea creature is. For me, I actually really like fishing, and I just love fishing for salmon because they put up a good fight, they put on a good show, and they weigh a ton and taste amazing. Leave the hashtag fish in your comment to get entered in the giveaway. Now let's go ahead and draw the winners for last week's giveaways. And the first one we're going to draw for is the King Fridge. And to draw a winner, I use this fancy application here. All these extra names down here are bonus entries for my Patreon subscribers. If you like this sort of content and want to help support the channel and also get some nice bonus entries into these giveaways, I have a link to my Patreon in the description below. But with that said, let's go ahead and grab the comments and draw a winner. And our winner is Omar Hernandez, and this is one of our Patreon subscribers, so congratulations, Omar. And with these new changes, I do expect that we'll see more Patreon winners in the short term. And the next giveaway we had was for 2 minutes to midnight, so let's go ahead and draw those comments and draw a winner. And the winner is Justin Clyburn. Congratulations, Justin. I'll reach out to you and let you know you won yourself a pledge for 2 minutes to midnight. And that's it for this week. Definitely some nice games and a couple that just might be getting a pledge from me. If you plan on backing anything, I'd love to hear which ones. Feel free to leave a comment down below. And until next time, keep that shelf cluttered and the table full.